For sure. Mm. For sure.
Mm.
Yay. Wonderful, wonderful. Hmm. Okay, hola. Hello, Isa. Hi, good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Yeah, all of it.
All of it. We're doing it all. We're doing it all. And um I'd like to, I think maybe starting with our poem today, since that feels good. And
Yeah.
okay. And so I found this poem. It's called Wind, Water, Stone. It's a beloved poem. It's by Octavio Paz, and it's translated by Elliot Weinberger. And this is for Roger Coyoy. Water hollows stone, wind scatters water, stone stops wind, water, wind, stone. Wind carves stone, stones a cup of water, water escapes and is wind, stone, wind, water. Wind sings in its whirling, water murmurs going by. Unmoving stone keeps still, wind, water, stone. Each is another and no other, crossing and vanishing through their empty names. Water, wind, stone. Water, stone, wind. Water, stone, wind. And this is Octavio Paz, Wind, Water, Stone, from Collected Poems of Octavio Paz. So beautiful.
It is.
I think, one of the things we were talking about um, earlier was about, because I was just thinking about how wind seems like it can get everywhere, right? So where is it that wind cannot find a way in? Where is it that wind is, what are the limits of wind?
Yeah.
You know, so I was thinking about that because, we're in a time where I feel like we really need to have specific limits about specific things.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about that with wind and how we can have the limits we need to have while also having the movement
Right.
we need to have, which is the wind. And so I was just curious about, what your thoughts were about that.
When you first said does wind have limits? My first reaction was no,
Hmm.
no. And I'm even trying to like think about times where it's still,
Yeah.
there's still soft or gentle breeze or, and I don't know, my own personal thought is wind is, it's a spirit, obviously, but it's how they travel too. So they're
Mm.
everywhere with us, we can make wind, wind will just appear. Um, Wind is pretty powerful. And even when you was saying you're, doing the poem, it made me think of how a lot of individuals get songs and messages through like the melodies
Mm.
through the wind.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because, in certain areas where you're at, it's going to make a different sound if you was somewhere else.
That is so true. Um, I know, I'm thinking of, there's several different things I'm thinking of, but one of them is that there's these ball courts
Mm.
on some of the ancient grounds, some of the sacred sites. the Mayan sacred sites and the pyramids, and there's usually a ball court. And the sound that comes through the ball court, and you can send your voice, and your voice will literally bounce off of one side of the ball court and go to the other side.
Wow.
And it like bounces back and forth. So it's like that echoing.
Right.
It's like that sound, the song, the incantation, the chant, kind
Mm-hmm.
of and those sounds, those are carried on the wind. It's like, oh, your voice was carried on the wind, or um, and I think of sending a voice, like that we have to start sending our voices in prayers,
Yeah.
because we need to be praying right now.
Yeah.
And you know,
And even just the energy that I pick up from wind is it's just out there. It's ready to just like grasp you and like, what do you need? Just like a caregiver.
yeah, that's so great. That's so cool. Is that, yeah. That reminds me, it's like, there's a ceremony that we do where we can call on the wind, or we can honor the wind, and that the air can come and speak to us and heal us and help us.
Right.
And when we do that, I remember I was on a pyramid. I was at a pyramid in I think it was in the Yucatan, and we were praying. Oh, I think we were at Koba. Oh, we were in Quintana Roo, and we were at Koba, and we were making this prayer for the wind, because the spirit of the wind had started to like touch down into a few trees,
Yeah.
but then other trees were perfectly still, you know? And so we were able to really honor the wind. And as we started to sing, there's a specific word where you would call the wind. And as we were able to say, it's like eek, eek, eek. And as we were saying that, we were all singing it and together, or saying it together, and the wind came and came around us. I mean, it's like half song, half saying.
Yeah.
It sounds like a song, really, but and it like touches down, and then it starts to surround you, and just that comfort of feeling the wind and feeling that wind come and hold and protect and surround you, and such a comfort,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I think there's the comfort of wind in addition to all the other things.
Right.
The power of the
Yeah.
wind, and how the wind can like lift a whole house,
Yeah.
and yeah, make oceans, clap their hands.
Just how when you was talking about the wind, and one it made me remember one of these times I had we were walking and I had chapstick on my lips, and I was really serious and into my walk, and I was just really walking, and every time I would come around this corner it would get super windy, like I was going against it. And then my hair would get on my lips because I had the chapstick. So I was like this, and I was trying to get mad and put my head down when I would walk that way. But it like made me settle down. It like calmed me down to be like, just enjoy this. So then when I'd go around that way, I'd be just like, take it in. And so it reminded me like, don't be so damn serious on this walk. Enjoy what's around you.
Right? Enjoy.
Yeah.
That's it. That's just like enjoy. And it does it, like the wind tickles us. The wind, it's just
Yeah.
like it lifts our hair. Yeah, it carries things, it changes things, it moves things. It's like even our attitude,
Yeah.
can be changed.
And
But
and then it made me think of too, like I help with track for our kids at school.
mm,
And how you go around and sometimes the wind pushes you, and it's like use that as your friend.
yeah.
Let it push you, take bigger strides. And then when you come around and you're going against that, put your head down,
Mm,
stride make sure your strides are stronger. And it makes me think about how we go through life. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's good. And then we just go with it. We just
Yeah.
let it take us and we just flow with it. And then sometimes it's hard and we have to put our head down and we have to stride as strong as we can through that. But it's not long, and then it comes back around again. And then you let that wind just take you. And yeah, I'm running with my head down right now.
Yeah. Some days are like that. For sure. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I'm also thinking of like when I think about the wind, I'm thinking, I mean, and the Lakota word for wind is tate, and you know, and I know that and a lot of, there's times when I am just where I pray for wind,
Yeah.
like last year, like on day 4.
Please,
I
please
was
come.
like, please, please, just like a little bit of a breeze would be so great. Anything that will help me to, just like
Yeah.
sustain this, because it was hot. I don't know, what was it? Well, like 100 and
But it's like we pray for it down here, but the tree, it's just
oh
like
yeah,
the
going.
yeah.
It's like yeah, and we're just like please. So relief. I think there's also like just
Yeah.
like comfort, and I think about the relief that I feel, and but also there's the power of the wind. And then when I think of the power of the wind is like in the poem, it's like it has the power to move the stone, to make the stone into a cup. As Octavio Paz's poem says, he makes the stones a cup of water, wind carved stone, stones a cup of water, you know? Um, and I also know that uh, by our house, there used to be, at um, uh, the camas roots by our house, there used to be these big stones and you could see that they were the grinding stones for the camas root. And the people didn't come to grind the camas root there anymore, but you could see that this was like a meadow that was specifically for, and the stones had been like worn away by all of those years of grinding the camas on those big, flat, beautiful stones. So, and they really do turn into like a cup, you know?
Yeah.
And I think we see stone as like this immovable thing, like you're saying,
Right.
I have my head down and into the wind,
Yeah.
it's like, but it's like we think this thing is unmovable, that it's a mountain, and really it's like, oh, you just need to be steady and grind the root, and just like the wind, be like the wind with the
Right.
stone. um
What's coming
yeah,
up is like working together, allowing that.
yeah. Mhm. We were also talking about, I have so many things that I want to talk now. I'm like, oh my gosh, and then there's the air, and then breathe, and then there's oxygen, but oxygen is all, so I'm just like, I have all these thoughts right now. But I also know that we were talking about trees and how the trees in the winter, like the north wind comes and it does all this pruning,
Right.
and I don't know if the trees are like us, like me. I'm like, oh, I don't want to let go of that.
Yeah.
That I really like that branch, or I really like,
Yeah.
like that's my favorite branch or whatever. I liked that branch. Don't get rid of that one. How about this
Right.
one? But I don't think trees are doing that. I think the wind is just like, this has got to go. This has got to go. This has got to go.
Yeah.
And then the tree, our neighbors have some trees, and I love them. They're very, 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 they're ancient cherry trees. And they just, how cherries, they have all those beautiful blossoms that come in, and I just love the cherry blossoms. So I wanted to see the cherry blossoms. And when they pruned those trees, I was just like, I think they pruned them too much. I had all these opinions about how they should have done it. And then I was like, the spring, oh my gosh, it said the blossoms just, the trees are fine. They're
Right.
great. They're even better. They're
Yeah.
much shorter, but they're, probably the fruit would be accessible, because they are shorter, But there's just something about that, like I think just like getting so attached and not wanting things to be, the wind prunes us. I mean, it takes things, that's one of the things that's so strong.
Yeah. Like a rebirth,
Mm.
reseeding. That's not a
Mhm.
word, but I just made it one.
It
I
is
mean,
not.
like, like the seeds from it, they, the wind takes those seeds and then plants.
Carries the seeds. Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that.
Where, yesterday I was looking out, I was like sitting and I was looking out the window and I was like, what is that? So I went and I was being nosy and then I was like, what is that? So then I actually went outside and it was the cotton from the cottonwood trees.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
one of my
and all
favorite
those
things. Yeah.
little seeds inside the cotton, they were, just blowing and yeah, I I really like cottonwood trees. I have a connection with them and so hey, I was talking to that cotton. Make a tree here.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. Make a tree here.
Plant your roots here. Oh, plant your roots here.
For sure. For sure. Plant your roots here.
But we don't even, we don't even think about that either. Or I don't know why, but when the wind comes and the leaves are hitting each other and you can hear
Mhm.
that sound. It's like, are these are these trees talking to the next tree? You know,
Oh,
is
yeah.
that their communication? And that's the help of the wind coming
Mm.
through. Or, even the communication with the wind, and we can see which direction it's coming,
Yes.
like to warn us for storms or whatever it is.
Yes.
And then it switches up, and then we know which way, just from the wind, it's
Mm.
in whatever direction it's coming, and it gives us warnings. Sometimes we don't get that warning, and um I don't know, but that's even how life is too, we get warnings sometimes and sometimes we don't, and we just have to flow through that,
Yeah.
go through whatever that looks like.
Well, and that communication that's so powerful to think about because it is also that is the communication. Like we have to have air,
Mhm.
wind, and breath. We're constant, like every time we exhale, it's a breeze,
Right.
our breath is connected to wind and breeze and air, and we can't not have it.
Right.
you know and how that wind, it's like so interesting to think about what you said about the seeds, because it's like our words.
Yeah.
We also have that same air that carries our words, and it it impacts and plants seeds in different places.
Yeah. Yep.
you know
Sometimes we, even you want to be medicine with your words, you know, sometimes
Mhm.
it's, bad medicine,
Yeah.
and that instills, and then we have to work through, flow through what that looks like to heal from that, so it's just being aware of your voice and how it travels and what it sticks to, because sometimes it stays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's so powerful, like to see our words as bundles of, good, true, and beautiful things, or not good, true, and beautiful things, or, and medicine has so many different meanings. And medicine really means, to me, it means power.
Right.
My power, like, where am I putting my power? Where am I placing, or my energy?
Mhm.
Um, and my words are medicine. Yeah.
Right.
And what kind of medicine? Am I making good medicine? Am I saying things that are going to be beneficial? I mean, and there's also, there's times when we need to vent, and,
Yeah.
we all need a place to say, wow, that was really something.
Or
Um,
even like, speaking the truth of like,
yeah.
I'm not doing this anymore. And
Yeah.
that too is
Mm,
medicine. Someone might receive it differently, but for the
yeah.
giver, it was like, no, that was needed.
Yeah.
Um,
That's the limits, I think,
yeah.
too. Talking about.
Yeah. I was just earlier today I was reading this thing about inner peace and how you flow your energies through yourself.
Mm,
Sometimes we stop that energy, right?
yeah.
And we don't let it flow through just how it needs to. Like even within us, where
Mhm.
we bring it in and we, with our breath, and we're moisturizing ourselves inside. And it's like,
Mm,
when we're tense, we don't breathe and we're holding on to that. And that really
mm,
hit different when I read that, of the inner peace of free flowing through everything, you know, let it free flow through
oh,
yourself. And I know there was more, but that really hit me hard when it was like, let it flow, let your energies flow.
yeah.
And it's going to bring so much more to you, because
Mm.
we stop, right? We stop that flow, and we can't stop wind. I mean, we could put a barrier up, but somehow it's going to come through. It's
It's
still
true.
going to
It's
make
just
its
like,
way.
okay.
Yeah. And there it is. It's like, there's no limits. It's like, nope, I'm coming
Yeah.
and I'm going to make an appearance and let it flow.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Because it's true. It's just the wind, you can't really, like,
Yeah.
you're not going to stop it, but you can, like, put something where it's going to block it from
Right.
something. But yeah, it's just going to go around it,
Yeah. And
So,
if it's like, no, I'm going to go through, it's going to go through, and there goes your blockage,
oh yeah, it'll be like, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
just like, there we go. Okay, I got
Yeah.
that out of the way now, gonna tear that wall down. That's
Yeah.
over. That's
Yep.
good. We're good now. So yeah, I like that. I like that. And then just the relief too that sometimes comes with not having the block there.
Right.
Just like, yes, okay, just like scrub me up.
Yeah.
Like, just like,
Cleanse me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And yeah, I mean, sometimes, like, when I go out and pray in the morning, like, I'll just start, the wind will be in my eyes, and I'll start, like, crying. My eyes will start
Oh yeah.
tearing, and it's almost like, oh, it's just helping me cry. There's something I haven't cried about, or something I haven't grieved, or, so it's almost like it helps me sometimes to grieve stuff so I can have
Yeah.
some relief.
Right. Right.
I was like, oh yeah, I guess I needed those tears, you know? So,
They
but
know before us.
yeah, yeah. The other thing is, so that I was thinking about was, how, the wind also carries our prayers,
Mhm.
right? So there's these prayer sticks that we make, and uh, that are really beautiful, and they have feathers on them, and um, the wind will, like, go through the feathers, and, like, we put our prayers into the feathers, and then the wind will go through the feathers and carry our prayers to Creator. The same thing with, like, different kinds of, like, in Tibet they have the prayer flags, you know,
Mhm.
and then the wind will come through the prayer flags and carry the prayers to Creator. Um, with the sacred pipe, it's the smoke.
Right.
It's like we breathe the smoke, and then the Creator, the eagle takes the prayers to the Creator. So just in so many different cultures, and many that are within my own family. And it's just really interesting to notice all of the different ways that we can ask the wind for help,
Right.
uh, and to carry our prayers and to send our prayers. And I'm just wondering, what are some ways that you send your prayers, or how do you work with the wind to send a voice or send a prayer? Or what are your thoughts about that?
Um, I don't, it's kind of interesting because I really don't like if I'm praying outside, you know, I just
Mhm.
know that the wind or, that it takes it. I just have that connection.
Yeah.
Even before I knew I had that connection.
Hmm.
And, sometimes too, if I see like a whirlwind or whatever, I'll be like, oh, kids, my kids, those are spirits.
Yeah.
And it's cleansing wherever it's, like going. Um,
Mm.
there's sometimes where I've been in a few places where strong cold wind will come, and I acknowledge that
Mm.
because it's, we're here, we're here. Um, but I enjoy wind. I enjoy the sound.
Yeah.
It's soothing to me.
Yeah, I really like it. I like that. Yeah, it's like a song,
Yeah,
you know.
it's and so I just know that the wind has my back, or like, it's just a part of
Yeah.
it. And I acknowledge when the wind comes, when they come. Um, and I don't like, I don't even know how I got the connection with the wind. I
Yeah.
don't, I just had it. I don't know.
That's really neat to think about, is to like to maybe explore that relationship,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, I wonder if, because, my mom would always say, "Oh, just listen to the wind. It will tell you, what you need to know."
Right.
And so I wonder if it's that, like, you've just always known that that spirit is the wind, or that spirit
Mhm.
is related to the wind.
Right.
So just that knowing has always been with you. That's cool to think about,
And now I want to go outside and just be
Yeah.
with the wind and what
Mm.
comes up,
Yeah.
what comes up for me, and how how can I mean, how can I strengthen my curiosity even with the wind? Like what it all touches? Because I mean, we see birds, they need the wind, to glide
Yeah.
and whatever, and we don't even think about that.
Yeah.
But we just know that the wind is here and it does its job, and we're connected in a way. It's like modest, but it's like, no, I'm here, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be here. And then
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just interesting.
And it's interesting too, Issa, like to think about how the air, like I'm just thinking about my how the trees need what the air we're giving off, like
Right.
we need the air they're giving off, and they need the air we're giving off,
Right.
so it's like there's this just,
Give and take.
yeah, and it's all going through all of us. Like
Right.
everything that has been in me has been in the trees, and everything that's been in the trees has been in me and in you and in our grandparents and our great grandparents. And, just like thinking about, oh, like everyone who's alive has been breathing this same breath,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and in contact with the same air, that connection.
That is powerful in itself, because there's trees where I'm just like, that tree knows more than I do. It's been
Every
here
day,
so
yeah.
long.
With you every day, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
And it just held
Totally.
so much.
Mm-hmm.
That's so crazy. And even, all the wind and the sun, and the moons and the storms and all
Yeah.
the seasons, it's like we really all work together and we all have a connection, and your connection grows deeper. You
Mm-hmm.
allow like to connect even more with the wind, like now I'm curious and it's like, oh, I want to know more. And I'm sure the wind's like, oh, I want to know more about Issa,
Yeah, totally. I can totally see that. Like, hey.
and what
You know?
and because I'm so open, it's like, oh, and maybe I will receive whatever is needed, whatever they need.
Mhm.
Like there's messages all over, but we have to be open to seeing that and receiving them and accepting and just flow
Yeah,
freely with all of it.
yeah.
And that doesn't mean act up when I say flow freely, guys.
That doesn't mean I'm acting up. Yeah. No bien.
I seen Char's face light up.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, yeah. Just wait. No. I'm about to carry on. No. Oh, no. Well, yeah, I mean, I was thinking about that, and I was also thinking about the swans. I don't know if I told you about the swans. I have some swan feathers right here. They're so beautiful. But it's like, birds are the symbol, right?
Yeah.
But swans, I've just always found them so mesmerizing. And I have no idea how they can get all the way that high. I mean, they
Yeah.
like fly with those
Yeah.
big, gigantic bodies. Um, and they're so graceful on the water.
Mhm.
But, you know, all birds are symbols of and messengers for spirit. They're symbols of spirit and messengers for spirit. But of course, the white birds and white animals are, considered very sacred. And there is one of my students told me, I guess about 6 days ago, there was another white buffalo born
Hmm.
in Montana. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know about it. And then she's like, oh, do you know about that? And I was like, oh, that's such a good sign.
It
I was
is.
like, oh my God, I can barely wait to tell Isa because, unless she's going to tell me, and then we can just celebrate together. But, but the white animals are really important. And they often mean it's that like place between the physical and the spiritual, the invisible and the visible world. So that's just like, oh, these two places are going to touch. The invisible and the invisible world touch here at this place where this animal is. And so that is definitely true. This really sacred being has been born. But all white animals carry that interesting. So swans, I think about the air, I think about the wind, I think about how high they can fly. Um, I also think about my friend who was she crossed over about 3 months ago, and she was a lifelong friend, like someone that I just you just love some people more than love itself. And I loved her so much and I miss her terribly. But I remember they'd asked me to come and sing for her when she was dying, and I wasn't sure which day to go. And then they called and they said, well, sometime soon now. And I went out to do my morning prayer. And I mean, I live in town, so I live in West Seattle now. And I've never seen a swan anywhere close to West Seattle in all my life. I haven't lived here for that long, but the times I have lived here, I haven't seen one. And so help me, above me, there was seven, eight white swans flying right above me, calling out. And I couldn't, I like couldn't initially place the sound. So I was like looking around me trying to find where the sound was. And I was like, and I looked up and that is her animal. Right?
Oh,
And these were feathers. These were feathers that I received from her children, the swan feathers. And so I know that the birds are these really important messengers for us, but that they use the air, they use the wind in this really beautiful way. And then right after, very soon after she died, um, about I guess it was just last month. Again, I was outside praying, and there they were again. The swans. It was my
oh,
friend, but I knew I had to go that day because the
right,
swans came. I knew I had to go pray and sing with her,
right,
um, and the swans didn't come down and say, "Hey, you need to go
right,
to your friend's deathbed and do this and this and this." It was like, oh, because I'm listening, I'm in tune, I'm paying attention, I'm, exactly what you were saying.
right,
If we listen, and so I was able to say, "Oh, my friend is on her way."
right,
See, they're making an arrow and they are in flight, and my friend is on her way, and I have to go today.
right.
So, and my clients were so great. I just rescheduled all my calls for the day and my patients, and I was able to go and, yeah, be with her. So I believe that these birds are those wind messengers, those spirit
Mhm.
messengers. And
It's when you brought up, the swan and it being white and animals that are white. I was just looking around at our screens and there's so much white and it's like enlightenment.
enlight, yeah. Enlightenment. Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at my own room like, oh wow,
Yeah, there's just so much.
totally. Yeah. And yours too. You have the white owl
Yeah.
behind you. Like,
I know
that's serious
I know
business.
a lot of yeah, I know a lot of people might think owls are like whatever, but all animals have a meaning and medicine with them.
Mhm.
And I've been seeing, like, for me, I remember just earlier, I was like, is it a snake?
I know. I
Yeah.
was like,
Oh, and I'm deathly scared of those.
oh yeah.
But, the other day I seen a baby snake and it was like on our steps to come into the house. And at first I was like screaming and, because any snake's an anaconda to me.
You're like, yeah, you're an anaconda. It's like I'm a garter snake, just a teeny weeny.
And I'm just like,
Oh,
you save me.
that's so
But
funny.
so then I'm like watching it, trying to keep my eye on it, and it's doing its thing. And I'm just like, oh, why'd you show me that? You can just totally climb straight up,
Oh my
And I'm just
gosh.
like, but then as I'm watching, I'm like connecting
Oh
this
yeah.
baby snake. And all these things are coming up for me, rebirth,
Mm.
transformation. It's
Yeah.
not something bad. And of course, I'm like trying to get it away because it's going to the door
Right. Yeah.
to get into the house, and I'm like, I'm gonna burn this house down if that.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
And so here I am. I go up
gosh.
the steps, and I knew me going up the steps, that was already me being brave
Yeah.
because every snake is an anaconda to me. And here I am talking to this baby snake, and it's a bull snake. And I
Oh,
know bull snakes
gee.
are, they need to be around for protection, whatever. It's just aggressive. But here I am like, okay, baby bull snake, you can't be around here. You can be close, but you can't scare us. You can't, yeah, I was going on. I was just telling this baby bull snake how to love people. And so So
The what for?
I kind of laugh about it now, but I was retelling to my friend about it, and so they were like, "So did it work?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it did actually."
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the snake
You listen.
listened,
Yeah,
and yeah, and I just connected in that way, rather than me trying to kill the snake and burn down the house.
yeah, that would have been a little.
But it's, I had to, I'm sharing because I had to connect with that snake. And so it's real that you can connect with the wind, or, the moon, the sun, Unchimaka, and
Yeah, and the owl,
Mhm.
you know? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I loved, there's something so interesting that keeps coming to my mind about the owl, Issa, which is that it's a silent flyer, So like I've seen
Totally me.
owls. Yeah, yeah. That's true. That is true. Yeah, and I've had encounters with them and they're just quiet. They're just like, they're so quiet and um yeah, and I just love how their feathers feel and I love owls so much. They're so sacred and I think we're just given all this fear about our environment and
Right.
you know, when really we've been given fear about all these animals when they're here to help us. They're here, they're part of the world,
Mhm.
you know. Um, I want to talk a little bit more about that in a future talk, Issa,
Right.
like, how we can um, connect with these animals and have the relationships, like not to make the bull snake into the anaconda, I don't know. But also like, right, like the rattlesnake was given
Oh,
duty, right? The
mhm.
rattlesnake was given the duty of
Right.
protecting.
Yes. Like
Yeah,
the duty, their title, their job.
yeah, yeah. So it's just like, what is the duty? So the rattlesnake is the protector and is that was put there to protect the Black Hills, right? So it's just like, well, we want to respect that rattlesnake, even though we know that, oh, it may have some other things it wants to tell us, but to
Mhm.
not kill the messenger,
Yeah. Correct.
I think is the
Hey,
important.
that's all of us, right? We kill the messenger
Yeah.
because we don't want to listen, and we're fearful. We're human. We're fearful. And sometimes we just have to flow through that, even
Right.
though
Like you
it's,
did. You went up the
yeah,
steps. You went into your house. You didn't burn it down. You did,
right.
you know,
But it
like
was
all
a
the things.
thought, and I was just like, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, so good. Well, do you have any closing words, sister, before we?
Um, I always have words to say.
I love that about you. I always want to hear you.
Um, I encourage you to be brave, all the listeners,
Mm,
and whatever that looks like. We're all human, and we're gonna be scared of something.
mm,
But if we could just let that flow freely, somewhere it's gonna bring the inner peace.
mm,
And I encourage the connection. If you already have the connection, strengthen that connection.
mm.
Because even with these talks, it helps me strengthen,
Yeah.
and even my curiosity and my deeper thinking. I feel more in tune than
Yeah.
I ever have,
Mm,
and I need to keep that in tuneness, the openness, because then that's when we're able to see life as it is,
mhm.
and we're able to see others as they are, as well as ourselves,
Yeah.
you know, and the self-love. You give what you need to yourself, so that way it
Mm.
radiates out, and then others are able to give that to you.
So yeah, sort of be open,
Mm-hmm.
to be open and yeah, and just I love the how you said it in tune. And so I would just ask everyone to this week listen to the wind and attune to the wind and see and let us know what you hear or what you feel or what you experience so we can all learn together. We'd like to learn
Yes.
from you about your experience. And thank you, Issa. What an honor
You.
to do these talks with you. And I will look for, we will look
Yeah.
forward to seeing you next week
Yeah.
for the Sacred Woman. Yeah, for Wope. So